What's up guys, Beast here and welcome back to another Smite guide, and in this video we have the god of fire from the Hindu pantheon, Agni. In this video I also wanted to compare the stats of Agni with another high area damage mage, Scylla. Like my other guides, we will also discuss Agni's abilities and look at the build I use for him. I pulled these stats for each god from the Smite Gamepedia page, the link will be down in the description, and if we take a look at the stats we notice that they are pretty much even on most things like speed, range, attack speed, and basic attack damage. Agni looks to have a bit more HP 5 and physical protection, but Scylla has him beat for health, mana, and MP 5 regen. So looking at these stats, I would say that Scylla was better because she has more where it counts, but I think if we take a look at his abilities, Agni may prove more superior. And we will start with his passive ability, Combustion, which states that after hitting with 4 basic attacks, Agni will gain a buff, and on the next cast of Flame Wave or Rainfire, all enemies hit by those abilities will be additionally set ablaze, taking damage every 0.5 seconds for 3 seconds. Damage per tick is only 5, plus 10% of your magical power, and deals a total damage of 30, plus 60% of your magical power for damage output. Agni's first ability is called Noxious Fumes, and Agni summons a cloud at his ground target location, doing damage every second. Firing any of Agni's abilities into the fumes detonates a gas, stunning all enemies in the radius. The second ability is actually the one you start off with, and it's called Flame Wave, and it's a line attack where Agni summons a wave of fire in front of him that scorches all enemies in his path. Combo this with your 1 and the damage potential is devastating. Agni's third ability is his escape called Path of Flames, and Agni blazes a path forward in a quick dash, leaving flames trailing behind him. Any enemies passing through the flames catch fire and burn for damage for every 0.5 seconds for 2 seconds. This ability also ignites his 1, and he is immune to knockback while dashing. It's also worth noting that the DOT effect refreshes every time the target touches the burning trail, and since this escape does damage, I will sometimes use it to push the opponent to make him hit the flames and try to secure a kill. Agni's ult is called Rainfire, and it's one of the most interesting ults I have seen because like most characters that I have played with, once you ult, you typically have a 90-second cooldown before you're able to use it again. This ability doesn't work that way. If you notice on the left-hand side of your health bar, underneath the Combustion passive, there's 3 rocks. And once you rank up to level 5 and you unlock your ult, you'll notice that the rocks have an 18-second cooldown. And that's the cooldown for your ult, essentially. Now, you can use this ability every 18 seconds, but it's best to wait and have up to 3 shots so you can finish off your opponent and move on to clearing waves and building stacks. The Halo recharge rate, which is the rocks, is also affected by a cooldown reduction. As for building Agni, there is variations depending on how you use him. He can pretty much have 4 to 5 set items on his kit, and depending on your team comp, or if your opponent has, for example, a lot of tanky gods for their comp, you can swap the 6 item round for whatever you need in that particular scenario. But as for my typical main build, I start with Mage's Blessing, Shoes of the Magi, 2 health pots, and 1 mana pot. And if affordable, I sometimes get 2 mana pots. I mainly play Conquest and Joust, so I'm used to playing the middle lane and just farming adds and battling back and forth until either I push or they ult and miss and I capitalize on their mistakes. The first relic I go for is typically Purification Beads or the Aegis Amulet, but recently I've taken a liking to Meditation Cloak, and for the second relic I've been using the Bracer of Undoing. I think Bracer is worth noting because the main effect states that using this item restores 40% health and mana lost within the last 5 seconds, and once you upgrade it, it gains the additional perk that subtracts 3 seconds from all abilities on cooldown. So if you haven't tried this item, I recommend that you do. Once the shoes are fully built, I go into Mage Pen with Spear of Desolation. The cooldown reduction plus the Mage Pen and magical power is really good for Agni because for this build, I'm trying to keep aggro on you as long as possible whilst being able to go in for kills and maintain momentum in my lane. And going back to one of the items I've used since I first started playing, and our third item on this kit is Warlock Staff. The health and mana buff is great, and once you stack, you will always gain health and mana, and that's really useful for sustain and keeping pressure in the mid lane or on the opponent in general. Alternatively, you can play this item earlier to get the stack finished quicker, but it's based on your preference. The next item I go for is Soul Reaver, and magical power gains and the 300 mana buff are great enough to want this item on your kit, but the extra damage you get to inflict because this item's passive is what sets this book apart from the others and makes worth choosing as your 4th item. So now we have movement speed, match pin, mana buff, and cooldown reductions going, now it's time for some lifesteal and health. That is, after all, how a mage survives battles and keeps that field presence, and one of the best items to help with this is Soul Gem. This item offers so much: lifesteal, magical power, a health buff, cooldown reduction, and the passive deals bonus damage while healing you and your nearby allies. So it's definitely worth having on your kit. The last item on this build is like the cherry on top for this cupcake of destruction, Kronos' Pendant, which gives us a bit more power and magical regen, but also gives us a whopping 20% cooldown reduction, and a passive which subtracts 1 second off all abilities on cooldown is super clutch when you need to make a push, and being able to use your abilities faster is always going to give you an advantage over your opponent. Well, that wraps up the build. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below, and let me know if I missed something. In the most recent poll we ran, it ended with yet another tie, so we would cover both of those gods. So I will hold another poll for our 6th video, and to tease the next video, we're going squirrely. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more guides and overall content. My name is Beast of Ishtar, and I'll see you in the next one.